While Anthony Rota won't be in the picture presiding over House of Commons proceedings on Wednesday, it is his last sitting day holding the title of Speaker, and already jockeying for his job has begun. Confirming his intention to run, Conservative MP and Deputy Speaker Christian Tremont told reporters on Parliament Hill Wednesday morning that talks are underway among the opposition parties to try to see an opposition MP elected Speaker, given their combined leverage over the minority Liberal government. Let's hear what he has to say.
Yeah, this is completely different than what I would have ever expected to try to do. We're in a very partisan time. We've had something that happened that hasn't happened more than once in the history of this House, where a speaker has resigned for a very specific emotional reason. And to try to bring that pressure down is difficult for anybody that's going to be running for this. We're going to see how the other parties are going to be treating this. What other names are going to be popping up, and see if we can come up with some kind of decent consensus.
He further added that there has to be some decorum in the House, have more respect for one another. I think we have to completely look at how the individual made it into the gallery and how it was missed, so it doesn't happen again. There will be Liberals entering the race as well. Typically, all MPs except for ministers and party leaders are eligible and automatically considered candidates unless they take their name off the list. Among them is a long-time MP, Greg Fergus. In a brief pitch on his way out of Wednesday's Liberal caucus meeting, he spoke about the need to uphold the rules and traditions of the House that allow for frank and passionate but respectful debates. Rota's resignation was a result of all-party pressure for him to do so, over inviting 98-year-old Ukrainian veteran Yaroslav Hanka, who fought in a volunteer unit under Nazi command, to Parliament. The recognition came during Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky's address last Friday and has led to international embarrassment for the Canadian government. Rota has taken full responsibility and has stepped down. This is what he said.
This House is above any of us. Therefore, I must step down as your Speaker. I reiterate my profound regret for my error in recognizing an individual in the House during the joint address to Parliament of President Zelensky. That public recognition has caused pain to individuals and communities, including the Jewish community in Canada and around the world, in addition to survivors of Nazi atrocities in Poland, among other nations. I accept full responsibility for my actions. My resignation is effective at the end of the sitting day tomorrow, Wednesday, September 27th, to allow preparations for the election of a new Speaker. Until that time, the Deputy Speakers will chair the House proceedings. Thank you. Merci.
Facing reporters' questions over whether a further apology on behalf of the nation is required, Liberal MPs whose job didn't directly answer. Immigration Minister Mark Miller suggested Canada's really dark history and the presence of Nazi war criminals needs to be reckoned with, while Health Minister Mark Holland implored calm over a continued politicization of this absolutely massive mistake that set back the cause of democracy. Let's hear to what Mark Holland has to say.
Well, I understand, as all of us, I stood and applauded. I stood in my place and applauded. And for that, I am deeply sorry, personally. I feel betrayed myself that I was put into a situation and I stood and applauded something that was contrary to my values. But it seems to me that we're all extremely zealous about continuing to pursue this, when what we need to be zealous about, and I can see you shaking your head no, and I would ask you, because I'm sure you and I are aligned in the cause of democracy. I'm sure you and I are aligned in standing against autocracy. And if we're going to battle against and we're going to spend all of our time and energy fighting on somebody who has stepped down, who is an honorable gentleman.
The question was not about the Speaker, the question is about an apology.
Right.
Will the government apologize?
So as you're yelling at me,
I'm not yelling, I'm just trying to...
As you're yelling at me, okay, about what you feel the government should or shouldn't do, I'm trying to say to you that I believe the focus of this government the focus of all parliamentarians should be standing united, because what is Putin doing with this? He's lying, he's manipulating, he's trying to turn an earnest mistake into something else.
Put it behind us though, and so you can move on to what you want to talk about?
I think that the situation was totally unacceptable. And that I'm not sure what folks are after here. I mean, in the questions. Let me be very clear. I said it. So let me say this, because I can only speak for me. I am the person that's in front of you right now. I deeply apologize personally. I stood and I applauded somebody who is completely contrary to my values. That made me feel disgusting. Okay, I felt awful and terrible after that. I apologize to anybody who suffered. I apologize to the Jewish community. I apologize to anybody who fought against the darkness that is. I can say to them that the core of my values is that I stand full square with them, and I would lay down my life in that cause. So I personally apologize, and I am deeply sorry. And if every parliamentarian I talked to who stood and applauded that day, I know feels that way.
Late Tuesday, MPs agreed that instead of having the deputy speakers continue to share responsibility for chairing House proceedings in the interim, Bloc Québec's MP and Dean of the House, Louis Plamondon, will take over once Rota's resignation is in effect as of the end of the sitting day on Wednesday. That means Plamondon will be in the Speaker's chair during proceedings on Thursday and Friday. Then when the House resumes on Tuesday, October 3, following a long weekend on the account for the National Day for Truth and Reconciliation, the first order of business will be the historic secret-ranked ballet election of a new Speaker.
IPTV.